Hey, what's going on, everybody? It is me, Golden Blue Dude, and if you're a college football or a college basketball fan, please hit the like and subscribe button because that's all we do here. Videos every single day. And don't forget to share this video around. That's what'll help grow this channel the most. And I guarantee you, if you like this content, somebody else will like this content as well. You can also support Golden Blue Dude through PayPal. I'll leave the link in the description of this video. And if you haven't already checked out our Golden Blue Dude merchandise store, now's a good time to do it. We have a lot of stuff over there. We have sandals, we have beanies, we have hats, we have t-shirts, we have mouse pads, we have water bottles, we have coffee mugs, we have a whole bunch of other stuff. I'll leave the link of that in the description of the video as well. A lot of West Virginia fans are freaking out about the football program. And the reason is because a lot of players have entered the transfer portal. So that's kind of understandable. So I'm here to kind of explain it to you. What is actually going on at West Virginia? Here are the more notable names that have entered the transfer portal. Cornerback Daryl Porter Jr., linebacker Vandarius Coleman, safety KJ Martin, wide receiver Sean Ryan, wide receiver Winston Wright Jr., cornerback Jackie Matthews, wide receiver Sam Brown, quarterback Jarrett Daggy, wide receiver Isaiah Easdale, running back Avarius Sparrow, and most recently, cornerback Nick Troy Fortune. West Virginia also got some players from the transfer portal. Running back Lynn J. Dixon from Clemson, defensive end Zaquai Lawton from Cincinnati, tight end Brian Pollenday from Colorado State, and cornerback Marcus Floyd from Murray State. So West Virginia fans freaking out, oh man, we have all these names entering the transfer portal, and some of them are starters from last year, and I get it, I understand the concern for that, but here's what's going on at West Virginia, okay? All the players you see going into the transfer portal were Dana Holgorsen recruits, and for one reason or another, they do not fit in Neil Brown's system. So what's going on is he's cycling out Dana Holgorsen recruits and cycling in Neil Brown recruits. Do you know who else has about the same amount of players in the transfer portal as West Virginia? USC. And it's the same reason. Lincoln Riley is letting players that he didn't recruit hit the transfer portal because they do not fit his system. So, if anything, maybe we should have wished this should have happened sooner. Now, I would be a lot more concerned, and I mean a lot more concerned, if it was actual Neil Brown guys that were entering the transfer portal. But that's not what's going on. Even in a recent press conference, Neil Brown exposed that we will be aggressive in the transfer portal this year. Here's what he said. Defensively, we've always had the intention to add a linebacker. So they want to focus on getting a great linebacker through the transfer portal. So that hasn't changed. And that will be a best available. So we're not going for the leftovers. We're going for the best available. Then we want to add at least one, maybe two pieces in the secondary. And here's the key. There will be another wave of significant people in the transfer portal after spring practice. So he's going to keep his eyes on the transfer portal, especially after spring practices have been held. Because players will know they're cut, players will know they won't fit into that system, players won't be happy where they're at, and that's when you'll get your best players. Now here are players to keep your eyes on right now in the transfer portal. And I saw this list on Sports Illustrated, Mountaineers Now. Of course, quarterback JT Daniels, I've already done a video on that. I think that would be a great addition. That would help Nico Markle get used to the college football system. But besides that, wide receiver Trey Shropshire from UAB. Last year, 27 receptions for 703 yards and 7 touchdowns. I actually think he's a better receiver than what we lost in Winston Wright Jr. And Winston Wright Jr. was our leading receiver from last year. This guy is even better. He high points the ball. He's much better at route running. So this would be a great get for West Virginia. Right alongside him, wide receiver Demetrius Cannon from Louisville. Now, he was a redshirt freshman last year, but he's a 3-star recruit, and that would give West Virginia some much-needed depth at wide receiver. But you don't want too much depth because you want the starters to get in a groove and not just try to spread it out. Well, we're trying to get everybody some playing experience. That could actually backfire on you if your starting wide receivers don't get into that groove. Also, cornerback Josh Newton from UL Monroe. Last year, 48 tackles, 28 by himself, 2 interceptions, and 8 pass deflections. That would be a great get for West Virginia. And I think he would be even better than Nick Troy Fortune. People forget, Nick Troy Fortune, he suffered a knee injury last year and missed almost the entire second half of the 2021 college football season. And finally, safety Khalid Martin from NC State. Last year, he was redshirted because he suffered an injury in 2020, but he's a 3-star safety. So that would add depth at the safety position. So there are names right now that West Virginia is looking at that would be a great addition to the team. But the big focus, like I mentioned earlier, is after spring practice. that's when you'll see the bigger names jump into the transfer portal. So West Virginia is going to be accessing the transfer portal to bring in some good names. So don't worry about that. But the thing that I was specifically addressing were the players that are transferring out. The Dana Holgorsen players. They do not fit into Neil Brown's system. That's why they're transferring. There's not some major thing going on at West Virginia where something bad's happening. No. We're still in rebuild mode. This will be year 4 for Neil Brown. So this is when we need to start to see him produce on the field as far as success. So if we don't go at minimum, 8-4, Neil Brown's going to be in some hot water. But I do expect West Virginia to meet that mark. If you look at last year, 4 of our 7 losses were by 1 score. 1 possession. If you just flip half of those, not all of them, half of them, that's an 8-4 season right there. If you flip all of them, that's a 10-win season. That's how close we were to actually having a good season last year. So this year, we just need to figure out a way to flip those 50-50 football games, and we will have a successful season. Having said that, if you want to sit in the corner and pounce, say, oh, West Virginia's all doom and gloom, they need to get rid of Neil Brown right now or we'll never recover. If that's what you want to do, go ahead and do it. I can't stop you. I'm just explaining the actual situation. I can't control how you respond. So if you want to be all depressed and act like West Virginia's headed down a bad road and will never recover, then, you do you. That's what you want to do. You do you. I 100% am not worried about the defense. We saw from 2020 to 2021, we lost some major talent from that elite defense, and we had still a great defense last year. It wasn't super elite like 2020, but it was really, really good. This year, we're not losing those massive names like we did in 2020. So we'll be as good, if not better, than what we were last year. It's the offense that all eyes are on. So if we can get wide receiver Trey Shropshire from UAB to replace Winston Wright Jr., we actually came out ahead. So before we actually worry, let's get through this offseason to see what we actually have. Remember, we're still at the beginning of the offseason. We're not at the end of the offseason. It's at the end of the offseason where if we're missing a bunch of people, that's when you can start panicking. But right now is not the time to start panicking. So calm down, relax, and let's see what happens the rest of the offseason. So y'all let me know in the comments section whether you're a West Virginia fan or not. On a scale of 1 to 10, how worried should West Virginia fans be? I'll always respect your opinion, but I will give you my opinion on your opinion. That's all I got for you for this show. Like and subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you on my next show. And don't forget, this is still home of the 2022 Slob Olympic champion.